what's the similarities and the differences between borderline personality disorder and narcissistic personality disorder? First of all, let's talk about the similarities. Both borderline personality disorder and narcissistic personality disorder fall into the cluster B of personality disorders. The other two that are in that cluster are antisocial personality disorder and histrionic personality disorder. All the personality disorders within cluster B tend to have an overriding characteristic about them. These disorders tend to be overly dramatic, emotional, they'll have erratic behaviors. They usually have difficulty maintaining stable long-term relationships. And usually their victims always report some sort of distress or some sort of impairment that they feel like is inflicted upon them by the person that's in that cluster B personality disorder. You can also have impulsive disorders or self-harm and self-destruction problems. And one thing to keep in mind is that just because someone might have one of the personality disorders in the cluster B does not mean that they can't have symptoms or traits of some of the others in cluster B. In fact, they often will co-present like that. And sometimes they can also be diagnosed with multiple personality disorders within the same cluster. Of course, you might hear some of the things that I just named off and be like, yeah, I think I have all of those too. But remember, someone that's diagnosed with one of these personality disorders has these qualities to a point where it is destructive to their life, meaning it's destructive to their personal relationships, it's destructive to their career. It's actually causing problems for them. But one of the main differences is sort of the intent and the way in which a borderline versus a narcissist go about their relationships with other people. Borderlines will attach themselves to other people to try to avoid that sense of worthlessness that they have. Meanwhile, narcissists will try to attach themselves to other people so that they can exploit them. They both don't want people to leave them. They both have that fear of abandonment, but for very different reasons. Borderline is scared that someone is going to leave them because then they will feel worthless. Narcissist doesn't want someone to leave them because then they won't have anyone around them they can exploit. Also, people with borderline personality disorder are very intense with their emotions, all emotions. Whereas someone with narcissistic personality disorder has really intense rage or can have intense rage, but they tend to be pretty even Steven across all the rest of their emotions. Even Steven or like nothing at all. Look, to be clear, all this is for educational purposes. No one should be diagnosing other people in their lives. The only one that can truly diagnose someone with either borderline personality disorder or narcissistic personality disorder is a licensed therapist who specializes in these topics. But I like putting these videos out there in case you have suspicions that someone in your life might have one of these disorders, because for me, once I started seeing and understanding that these personality disorders existed, it helped me to better understand how and why things were happening and if I needed to leave the situation. To me, from my perspective, education is power. Once I started getting educated about particularly narcissistic personality disorder, it gave me the power to realize that I needed to leave my relationship and that it was only going to get worse.